In this video, I'm going to be talking about common maintenance items you should be looking at and taking care of on the second generation Lexus IS. Hello and welcome back to Marty Motoring, back with another video on the IS350. A lot of people have been asking me what are some maintenance items they should be taking care of or looking at with these cars, and I've owned it for almost 3 years, so hopefully this video is helpful and can help you out so you know what to look for. I did make a video about common issues with these exact cars, mostly being like the dash panels, which I had mine replaced, what kind of oil to use, and some of the older ones had some oil burning issues. And I will say mine does burn about a quart every 4,000 to 5,000 miles, which isn't terrible because I can just put some more in. It's just an old engine. This has 180,000 miles on it, so it's bound to happen at some point, but we'll dive into that in a second. So first things first, I would say tires. I usually honestly just get cheap all seasons. These are Achilles tires. They're pretty good actually. The traction's good. They're about like 70 bucks a tire in this size. These are 18s. That's an 8.5 inch wheel. That's a 9.5 inch wheel. Offset is 35 for both. So I have 225 slightly stretched, 245 slightly stretched, and they work really well. So in the engine bay, things you should probably replace. These come with a pretty crappy air filter. The standard air filter is not that great. I upgraded to the F-Sport blue filter, the washable, reusable one. You can get them on eBay, Amazon. I'll try to link everything I'm talking about in the description below, but that filter seemed to help with gas mileage. It's pretty consistent. I also have the F-Sport box, which helps with the sound, but that's a maintenance item you should take care of. Also check and clean the Maf Sensor. Any major auto store, including Walmart, will sell mass airflow sensor cleaner, Maf Sensor cleaner, and you can clean this. Sometimes that can throw a code. I've had to clean mine a few times and it's been fine. This is another maintenance item actually, because the stock one has a tube that recirculates and puts all the oil and carbon deposits back into this intake, which I really didn't like. RR Racing was smart enough to delete it. They don't have it on here, and it just goes to atmosphere from the crankcase, and I think it's a better setup. You can also install an oil catch can and all that good stuff. But for basic maintenance, you don't really have to worry about that. Just thought I'd point it out. Other things you want to check is the antifreeze. How dirty is it? Is it pink? Is it red? These cars run Toyota pink or red. The red is the older one. Pink is a longer lasting one you really should be using in these. I've drained and filled my cooling system a few times before with the Toyota pink fluid, and it seems to run really well. I did have to replace my radiator cap because my system was starting to overheat, and I also replaced the thermostat, which is right here. It's right up front, easy to get to, wasn't hard, did it myself. If the car is misfiring or something like that, you have the spark plugs here. They're kind of hard to get to. You have to move some stuff out of the way, but I did it myself. It wasn't terrible. That's just something long-term you might want to. You can do it yourself though. It's not bad. Of course, my brake fluid is a little dirty, so this is a bad example. I need to change that. Here's the radiator cap, spark plugs, thermostat, airbox, brake master cylinder, and of course the battery. You do want to check if the battery's decent. Alternator is down actually in here. You will probably have to replace it at some point in the vehicle's life. I've had to replace mine twice now because I had a cheap one and it didn't really work well. Now I have OEM and it works great. And the question a lot of people ask me is oil. Toyota and Lexus recommend Mobil 1. I recommend Mobil 1 full synthetic, and I recently started using, probably in the last 10 to 20,000 miles, Pennzoil Platinum high mileage full synthetic 5W30. A lot of the newer ISs run 0W20, which is just like a more modern engine oil weight, but these older ones run 5W30. I didn't really care to change that. There can be issues if you go too thin or too heavy of an oil, so I just stuck with the factory recommendation, which is 5W30. I do the oil changes myself, and I've done a video on it, so you can check that out on my channel. I'll link it here as well. I use a K&N filter, Pennzoil Platinum, and you can check all that out on that video. That oil seems to run really smooth and nicely in this engine. Another thing I should mention is the throttle body. I did a video on cleaning this as well. The throttle body is here. It's electronically controlled. It's the 4 bolts, and then you can take that off and clean any carbon deposits, and it helped it idle a lot better, honestly. Another thing is the Pcv valve. Here it is. It's right here on the 350s. I think it's a little different on the 250s. It literally screws in, screws out, has the rubber hose attached. That's a cheap part that can easily be replaced. And that's another maintenance item some people overlook, and I did a video on that as well. Here's a look at the tires. You want to have good tread, obviously. Another thing is the transmission fluid. You can't access it from the hood. You have to go from under, but I did a video on that too. I drained and filled the transmission. The car has about 12,000 miles on it since then. Works great. Transmission shifts smoother, downshifts better, and everything. So I definitely recommend that. So those are the biggest maintenance items. You have your fuse box here, your fluids, the spark plugs. Pretty much, I tried to cover everything people have asked me. That's really it. That's all I do to it. Just make sure everything is working, and your car should last a really long time. So those are some of the common maintenance items for this car. 2006 to 2008 were all the same. 2009 to, I believe, 2011, a lot of the things were similar. And then 2011 to 13 had a few minor changes, but I mean, the engines are all the same. I think they switched over to a lighter weight oil later on. And then with the 14s and up, that's the new design, the 3IS, and it's very similar engine and setup, but they switched from the 2GR FSE engine in the 350 to the 2GR FKS, I believe it is. I just drive the car and enjoy it. It's been really good. 180,000 miles, fresh oil, fresh tires. I'm trying to get all the fluids just changed out so I know they're done. If you just do oil changes, check the coolant, you know, do the automatic transmission drain and fill at some point, the car should be fine and run great for you. Those are common maintenance things with this car, so now you know. So if you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe and follow along with my Lexus and Toyota 4Runner videos. Follow me on Instagram at Marty Motoring. And as always, leave a little rubber on the road.